some of them have writs and some of them have peels, and we always try to encourage that there is a chance and your sentence will be reduced, or maybe you ought to refile this, or give me I'm not an appellate lawyer, but give me the briefs. And it's like, for me, it was like locking up a doctor who likes to practice in the hospital. Anyway, Mr. Meaton, aren't you Tony Serra, the lawyer? Yes, indeed, I respond. The same question, in different words, is asked over and over of me at Lompoc prison camp. What are you doing here, goes the refrain. I tell them, I'm only a Mr. Meaton. I got 10 months. This is my 3rd conviction. I am a tax resister. It's not moral turpitude offense. It's willful failure to pay taxes, not tax evasion, for cheating, which is a felony. I will have my law license when I get out. I have even a murder trial scheduled shortly after my release date, which did occur. Well, why don't you pay your taxes, they ask. Why didn't the IRS just seize some of your property? They look at me quizzically. I try to tell them I'm an aberration. I have odd, old-fashioned beliefs. I'm an old Marxist, that I don't believe in owning anything, that I have no property, no money in the bank, no stocks or bonds, no assets, that I don't believe in taxes, that taxes are the plunder of victory paid by the defeated, that only the working class pays taxes, that corporations pass tax on to the consumer, that capitalism preys on the poor, that tax resistance is my little principle, that I have been convicted 3 times because I am loyal to my principle. Most of the inmates in here are convicted of a crime where they sought financial gain. They do not understand my principle. You ask a wise man, what was the most significant metaphor that occurred that evening? He crumpled the paper. My prison camp hands. Hands can be the most revealing metaphor of a person's existence. Until I reached my 60th year, I had the hands of an El Greco priest. Thin, elastic, sinewy, elongated, clean-fleshed, with an almost religious hue. They were alive on their own, like my hands possessed independent brains. At a young age, people marveled how I could grasp with one hand on a football or basketball. My fingers were long and strong, like a hawk's claws. They gifted me excellence in athletics. Later, in the lawyer years, my hands and fingers grasping pen instead of ball transferred thought to paper 100 miles an hour. I could write verbatim testimony of witnesses almost as fast as a shorthand reporter. My thumb and middle finger on my right hand became calloused and tough because I wrote incessantly. I filled trial books with my handheld instruments of speed-laced transcriptions. My hands flew along the paper like a piano maestro. I had the hands and fingers of a surgeon attached to the mind of a lawyer. And today I sit in the library of a federal prison camp and examine my hands. I scrutinize the backs of my hands with horror. No longer delicate instruments. My hands have turned to reptiles. 8 months of watering prison campgrounds have made them shriveled, withered, and cracked from the heat of sun burning on them. The intensity of freezing cold makes them brittle. The flesh is watermarked, sunburnt, the outer skin mottled and peeling. My hands in prison have become spiders and lizards and snakes. I have bumped and scraped so many plants and limbs. I've picked up so much camp debris and whole buckets and garbage cans. Hands are no longer a fine instrument of logic and discourse. My hands now scabbed and scratched and lacerated are shovel, rake, and hoe, the extension of muscle and blood, holding, lifting, pulling, and sifting through earth, water, and air. They are no longer art, they are function. Next one, prison induces revolution. It is said that prison induces depravity, that it creates degeneracy, that it breeds recidivism, that it makes for a revolving door for prisoners, that they perfect their criminal instincts, and that they conspire to commit further crimes. In short, prison is counterproductive to its objective of abating crime and should either be abolished or greatly reformed, especially at present when the stated philosophy of the penal system is punishment and retribution, not rehabilitation, not education, not psychological counseling, not a plan or strategy for convicts' re-entry into society. It is not that the prisoner is depraved, it is the prison system itself is the institution of depravity. The above truths are self-evident, but there is a greater result that I see as a consequence of prison life. The inmate becomes political. From thief to tax resistor, from murderer to drug dealer, all unify in the face of a common enemy. The common enemy is the government. Expressed or implied, every inmate grows to hate the government. The reasons are variable. The government is corrupt. The government is brutal and sadistic. The government is lazy, arbitrary, and inefficient. The government is unfair. There is no such thing as justice flowing from the government. All prisoners develop a hatred of the guards, of the supervisors, of the prosecutors, of law enforcement, of the politician. Prison instills into its population the seeds of old-fashioned revolution.
Right.
The next one, I am a river. A river going dry. My prison camp work assignment is groundkeeper. There are about 5 to 10 inmates on the team. We keep the grass, flowers, and gardens around the hub of the camp in good order. We water, cut lawns, add plants, trim vegetation, trim lawns, repair the railed fences around the gardens and lawns, and in general, keep things fresh, green, and viable. My specific responsibility is to water a limited share of the lawns and flowers, principally in the front areas of the dorms, administration buildings, and chapel, dining room, and visiting area. I am the waterman. I boastfully call myself the rainmaker or the river. I set sprinklers, turn on and off permanent sprinkler systems, and water by long hoses or by hand. At least one half of my area of responsibility has to be watered by hand, having no set sprinklers and not enough movable ones. Thus, for the majority of the time, I stand in green uniform, white baseball cap, holding extended a maroon-colored hose. I shoot streams of water on the grass. I sprinkle it on other occasions by waving the hose gently back and forth. I use my right and left hands. By the end of the day, my feet, shoes, and socks are wet. The sun in the spring and summer seasons beats down hotly on me. I sweat under my clothes. I wear sunscreen block. I still sizzle in the heat. I stand very tall, like on stilts sometimes. Other times I curl over the direction of the flow. I daydream through the spray. I inwardly smile at my reveries. I watch the giant eucalyptus trees which surround the area. I must appear a solitary figure way out on a lawn, connected to the building by a long conduit, like a diver with an oxygen tank connected to a hose. I like to symbolize that I provide the life force, that what I touch turns green and new and clean and pure. I romanticize my prison work. It makes things easier to accept, to give life when life is taken. Maybe in actuality, the lawns are really deserts, like flowers, a mirage, and the trees a hallucination, that I am really dead, and this is afterlife, that I will water now forever, that the flow of life is eternal. If I am incarcerated, if one human is incarcerated, everything is incarcerated. The loved ones, the friends, the trees, the birds, the flowers, and the grasses, everything joins in prison confinement. The lonely waterer figure is the centerpiece of his captured, constrained, and suppressed microcosm.